By the way, this is not part of the script, but I bought this gun today, and 10 minutes before I was gonna start recording, this thing broke. I spent $10 on this. Anyways, zombie games. Zombie apocalypse. Let's be honest here. We all think that we are absolute badass when it comes to zombie apocalypse, and we will just kill all the zombies. And we all gamers are most likely going to be the first one to become zombies. But when it comes to like this, we want to be the main protagonist and all that, zombie apocalypse is one of the ways to do it in its own twisted way. We fought, we fight, we survived, and we did the impossible. But let's be honest here, how good are zombie games? Are they fun? Are they interesting? And what is the good, the bad, and the ugly side of zombie games? Well, pump up your shotgun and get your green leaves ready, because we are gonna be talking about zombie games. Take a shot every time I say zombie games, guys. Let's start off with a classic, shall we? Yes, one of my favorite games of all time. It still boggles me that this game came out in 2009 because, truthfully speaking, this game aged really well. So, there are some things that hasn't. The game doesn't have any resolution settings, only full screen and window mode. The game is still 4:3 ratio, and the artwork, while not outdated, could be a bit polished. But regardless of all that, the game still looks good. The music is just vibing and just amazing, and the whole game is just fun. My only complaint is that the game is very easy. Just having the same plan set up every level pretty much guarantee you to beat the game. But with many game modes suiting the zombies and just dev it, honestly, you can't go wrong with trying the game. And I can't wait for the sequel when they ever make. Get your drinks ready. You're gonna need it. Alright, let's start with the first one. Plants vs. Zombie Garden Warfare. Hopefully it isn't that bad. Well, from what I have seen, this game doesn't look good. Like, look what they did to our sunflower. Live! Live! You gotta live, flower! You gotta be cute! Also, they had this whole card system where you can unlock skin via booster packs and abilities? I don't really know, and honestly, I don't want to know. This just feels scummy. By EA. Okay, so first one was a miss, but hopefully the second one is... No! This won't be enough. This just looks awful. The zombies looks off. I can't put a finger as to what, but it doesn't look like the zombie we know and love. And the plants... the plants doesn't look cute at all. It just looks so eerie and mature. Like, if you told me that this is someone who made a cursed Plants vs. Zombie YouTube video, I would 100% believe you, because this is criminally offensive. It doesn't help what they did with the gameplay as well. The gameplay boils down to PvP. You have 3 abilities, you have to use that abilities to kill the enemies faster than they can kill you, yada yada yada. Which also means you can play zombies, which I guess there's a market for it, but for me, the gameplay feels off and not fun. There's also the whole story mode as well, but it just doesn't ring with me. It just feels like they added it for the sake of adding it, And then David for some reason, has robot clones that acts like him instead of him, and wasn't he supposed to be your crazy next door neighbor who appears out of nowhere? Why this? And of course, because it's EA, the card system is back. I don't know what it does exactly, but maybe the costume and new characters, I don't know. But honestly, other than the free packs I got, I don't want to get any more. Or spend any money on this. It's maybe nostalgic bias, and maybe I did not give it a fair trial. But I tried this game over and over and over, and I just couldn't. I just felt off and uncomfortable when playing this game, and honestly, I just can't recommend it. It's just not right. Alright, please end my suffering. Plants vs. Zombie Battle for Neighborhood. How bad is... Alright, this game is actually decent, which is quite a claim to make because it's basically the same concept as Garden Warfare 2. PvP, story mode, yada yada yada. But what makes this better, in my opinion, is presentation. The zombies actually looks like, zombies from the original game, but 3D. The plants actually has a cute charm behind them now. And the map actually feels better. And the gameplay feels more fun. This is kinda hard for me to explain because everything but the vibe is pretty much the same. Of course, there's some changes, like for example, some of the plants' abilities have been tweaked a bit here and there, and there is still bad things like David is now living in a mansion now, and the card system is still a thing. But somehow, the vibe of this game feels more fun, simple, and likable. I don't know how else to explain this. The vibe and the way we play the game just feels nice. Some of you might have noticed I did not talk about one particular game. Plants vs. Zombie, it's about time. And there's a reason behind that. From what I've read and what I've seen, there's a mixed opinion when it comes to this game. Some people love it and some people hate it. And when I played it for the first time long time ago when it came out, I really did not like it either. But then there was this people like it because and everything, and I was young and naive back then. So what now? I should probably play it and make a full analysis and see if this game is actually pretty good. The thing is, and I'm gonna be honest here, I ran out of time for this here. I really wanted to get into the game, but if I really play it, I need to give it a fair trial, and I did not have enough time for that fair trial. So most likely I'm gonna do it next year, and we'll see from there. If you guys want to see it, just let me know in the comments below. Alright, we talked about all the Plants vs. Zombie franchise but one. And honestly, I am a bit disappointed. So far we only gotten a PvP type of games. 2 of them was absolutely horrendous to look at. And while I know it's about time is going back to the classic game modes, it's only on mobile ports. I really hope we get a console and or PC port for it, or a new game with that concept, because safe to say a lot of people would be happy to get it. I just hope the franchise won't die due to poor decisions. Okay, with one franchise out of the way, let's talk about another one. I mean, are they really zombies? I mean, they are, human beings who got controlled by parasites and becomes very hostile towards, so by definition, yeah. I was never a Resident Evil guy. I just don't like horror, and from what I've heard, Resident Evil like to do a lot of jump scares, which is the biggest reason why I don't like the genre in the first place. But one of my friends asked me to play the series, some together as well. Plus, I was still curious why the franchise is a hit to begin with. So, I tried it myself, starting off with a controversial one. I don't think I have enough drink for this one. This is my first one I ever played from the franchise, mainly because my friend wanted me to get into it, and the co-op option made him thought it was the best game to get into. And honestly, they were technically right. I would have played the game solo eventually, but having someone play with you while being introduced with the franchise is not a bad idea. Two playable characters are Chris Redfield and Siva Aroma. I really don't know how else to flow from there. So let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it for this channel. So I'm just gonna show you what I'm talking about. From what I understand, some people were complaining to the point Siva was added as a playable character, while others are saying that's not the case since this game is set in Africa. If you ask me, I don't know. Resident Evil franchises like to go to different countries and continents, and this just so happened to be part of Africa. Yes, this was a misstep by Capcom, but I don't think there was any malicious intent behind it. At least, I hope there wasn't. At the other point though, this was a major misstep. And there was some some stereotypings in games, and I don't know. It's gonna be interesting because Capcom did tease that it might have a remastered. Resident Evil 5 remastered might be a thing. As of recording this, it's not confirmed or denied. All I can say is, if it becomes a thing, it will be interesting. But for now, let's put the controversies in the side. Let's just push the controversial and let's just talk about how the game is by itself. Cool? Cool. Presentation wise, this game hasn't aged well. It's still decent, but some of them just doesn't look great. I think the best term I can think of is it looks rusted. Maybe too rusted. The camera grain makes it look old school, so it might be preference, but it doesn't sit right with me. The subtitles can be hard to read because of the chosen fonts, plus movement in games, and well, this game feels like a PS2 game. Which actually this game came out for the PS3 and Xbox 360, and the last gen consoles as well. It's not bad, but it ain't great either. It barely failed the test of time. And while the game is enjoyable to play, it would be better to get some revamp for sure. Speaking of gameplay, the game is fun. But I think, at least for me, only fun when playing with friends. Yes, that's such a low ball thing to say, because playing with your friends is almost guaranteed for you guys to have fun. But hear me out. Playing with your friends helps just makes things more real. You two are trying to figure out what's the best move, who should do the puzzle while the other should be defending them, and figuring out what to do next. For survival horror, working together feels more immersive, at least for me. And while AI partners also helps with that, having someone next to you and thinking, how do we live this, feels more fun, in my opinion. With that said, what was Capcom smoking when they were making the stages? I don't know how else to say this. They go from village to mining to ancient temples to secret facility. I'll have what they're having. The puzzle makes no sense mechanically, but by this point, I'm giving up thinking rationally for this game or this franchise. Overall, the gameplay is fun. Limited ammo, fighting with low health, and just screaming his partner's name when they are too busy with something else.
Shava! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
There can be some improvement for this game. For example, the quick time event mapping is really weird. Like sometimes it's like Shift plus F. It's been a while since I played it, so I kind of forgot what mapping is what, but it has weird mapping, and if you miss one of them, you just instantly die, which is ugh. But if you want to play this game, if you're truly interested in playing this game, I recommend playing it with your friends, because I think this game hasn't aged well in some department, and I think if you really want to have fun with this game, I think co-op is the best way to go. Alright, this had a rough start, but overall it was decent. On to the next game.
Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I don't think my friend actually wanted me to get into the franchise. This game has an interesting concept where you're not playing from one, not two, but four different characters' perspective, with each with their own stories that's crossing from one to another as time goes on. So we have Chris and Pierce, Leon and Irina, Jake and Sally, and finally Ada and yeah, they didn't really think about that one. Actually, you can actually tell that the co-op element was added later on the development, because there is, well, let's just say all the cutscenes where your partner just disappears and Ada just escapes from life and death situation alone. Like there's no mention of your partner being there. It just feels like Ada was just soloing. Except when you play co-op, she's not. I think that pretty much sums up this. It feels rushed. Having four stories with each telling their own tale while crossing paths, that is an amazing thing to see, and I like what they tried to do with it. But you can tell they needed to rush some stuff, and some stories just felt loose. The biggest one I can tell is Chris. Chris was driven to do something. And when something else told him to stop, after like 5 minutes conversation, he stopped. He's like, okay, I'll stop. You can tell that was rust. Like it wasn't cliche per se, it kinda is, kinda isn't, but it wasn't grand revelation or anything like that. The story just felt off. All of them felt off. Obviously I can't say much because spoilers, but not that the story could have been better. All of them could have been better. And then there's this whole tutorial thing where you need to do something to get into the game with Leon, and I don't like it. I get it that it was kinda needed because you can pick any story at the beginning, so tutorial is needed beforehand. but I just don't like how in the tutorial it's one thing and then in the actual story it was something else entirely. Might just be me. The different UI for different stories was pretty cool to see. Mind you, I didn't like the UI when swapping weapons and such for any of the characters. And then comes the gameplay and, well, it was fine. I pretty much had the same fun as Resident Evil 5 when it comes down to it. QTE still sucked, the gameplay was fun with co-op, Screaming's partner name was still funny, but that's about it. And I should mention, because it's old Capcom games, but they added a lot of sexy shots in the game for no reason. This was kind of a thing as well for Resident Evil 5, but sex just rubbed me in the wrong way at times. One that comes to my mind is when there was a vent, you need to press down with Ada, and then press again to get through the vent. But in that middle of that whole vent sequence, there was an ass shot. They added an extra step for an ass shot. What? This is just one of the few I found that I just don't like. I know some people are into it, but for me, I went in for survival horror and maybe a bit of thriller in the game, not sexy. I think the best way to say it is I like the game, but not as much as Resident Evil 5. It was just rushed. There were some elements that I did not like, and I'm gonna be honest, the game was decent at best. I really can't recommend this game, but if you really want to try this game, well, just try it with your friend, because at least you will enjoy the chaos with somebody. Alright, let's actually talk about a game that everyone and their mother modded the living hell out of it. Left 4 Dead 2 is probably the biggest game I'm going to be talking about in this video. And honestly, it makes sense. It was way ahead of its time and yet still amazing to play during that time. Heck, people still play the game today, and if you ask any of your friends on Steam to play it, most likely they have it in their library already. It's a classic survival horror game. Has horror elements to it, teamwork is necessary, also mods. And it gets intense, which is fun. The problem is me. I'm gonna be honest, I tried playing this game for years now. Months I tried to play the game, and before writing this script, I tried playing this game and see if I could like it. And personally speaking, it just did not click with me. I tried to like it. I personally tried to like it. And I just couldn't. Sorry. Objectively, it was a really good game. Voice acting is nice, music is nice, and gameplay is immersive. But no matter how many times I tried to get into it, I just couldn't. So instead, I will just say this. This is a great example of how to make a good zombie survivor game with co-op for everyone but me. I am generally the black sheep of the community, and well, it sucks that it did not click with me. To everyone who likes the game, I can see the charm behind it and I love what they showed to me. But please understand, this game isn't for me. And to everyone else who couldn't click with the game, hey, you're not alone. So take what you will with this information. At least the mods are funny, eh? Next up, the opposite. This one was interesting revelation to me because when the game was announced, everyone, and I mean everyone, was hooked to buy and play the game. It was a non-stop hype for it. Finally, a Left 4 Dead 2 like game. Some is even saying a Left 4 Dead 3. So when I asked people to play the game with me finally, everyone said no, it sucks and it's not worth my money. This made me confused. I mean, most people were hyped for the game back then, and now people said it sucks. I asked to play so many times with so many people, and everyone just said no. So I had to do the obvious.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, I started the game myself just to see why people don't like it. I mean, it can't be that bad.
Okay, what's with zombie games and cards? Royal Flush.
Okay, I can now see what is going on. The card system. To put it simply, the card system makes your character has better abilities, or have more ammo, or if X then Y condition, etc, etc. Which seems fine at the beginning, until you realize some cards are way better than others. Well, duh, it is inevitable that some things will be better than that. But the problem comes with difficulties. In this game, there's difficulties: normal, easy, hard, and you have the hardest difficulty, nightmare mode. And, well, some maps are downright impossible to complete without having certain cards in your arsenal. Let me clarify, it is not harder, it is not more challenging, it is downright impossible. So, just to do nightmare mode, you need to grind and grind in order to get those cards to even do nightmare modes. Not to mention, this game has certain costumes and skins you can unlock. How do you unlock them? The simplest and one of the ones earliest you can get is by playing the same character over and over and over again at least 60 successfully times. Imagine that for each characters. And you're looking for a bad time. Back for blood? More like back for grind! Also, the last one is unlocked via successfully doing a nightmare mode. I have a mixed feeling because you can say it's for bragging rights, but the way they have implemented the costume to begin with, just make the costumes unlockable via in-game currency and not ridiculous amount that I need to play at least 60 times either. I just want to play a character with another costume or another fancy clothes, but I can't because I have to grind my rights for it. And I'm gonna be honest, people might just get sick and tired of playing the same character and just wanna try another one. Heck, there are some characters that I really want to try, but then I'm like, I want to try it with different costume because I don't like the default. And, well, I had to play at least 60 times and bear that I do not like the current costume that they have. Not to mention they have DLC campaigns, and I mean, yeah, you can do that, but with the limited campaign already, and already you are asking people so much to grind, it just feels off. So yeah, I finally understand why people don't like this game, myself included. I am fine with grinding stuff in game. Heck, I have done so before in Warframe and Final Fantasy XIV. But this game is asking a bit too much. you need to have a balance. Maybe have that bragging right costume, maybe whatever. But make some of them a universal thing. Maybe a universal currency that you can buy it over time or something, because we don't want to grind over and over and over just to get one thing 60 times. Make some things universal and make some things that you can get short term, because we are fine with grinding stuff in games, but we need to be rewarded every now and then, both physically and mentally. It even sucks to say this because the gameplay is actually fun. I somewhat find the game a bit more fun than Left 4 Dead 2, which is strange to say because the gameplay feels the same way for these both. But for me, Back 4 Blood presentation and vibe just makes the game a bit more enjoyable for me, and would have a blast playing with friends. But knowing I had to grind just to get something new, I can't see myself playing this long at all, let alone with some friends. I think the best way to say it is it's mentally exhausting to keep on grinding just so that you can get one certain thing, and it's physically demanding to do something just so that you can play more variant mode of this game, whether it's by cards or IRL money. Man, I was so looking forward to this game. I am so disappointed. Alright, let's talk about another grindy game, but what I believe was done in a right-ish way. As of recording this game is still in early access. Rightfully so, but hear me out. This game is fun, especially if you're playing with the right people. Keywords, right people. See, I was playing with two groups of people. One of them was actually trying to teach me how to play the game and trying to teach me the ropes and everything. The other one was absolute noobs like me, and we had no idea what we were gonna do. I really had fun time playing with the latter groups. Don't get me wrong, the former was actually fun as well, and I'm very happy that they were trying to teach me how to play the game. But the latter, there was this spark, the spark of stupidity, and it was so fun to be stupid. We died so many times, we ran, got lost, and just tried to learn how to not be stupid and still be stupid. Words can't describe how fun it was laughing at our own stupidity while still learning as we go. And game is pretty much like a true survival game. You need to loot, eat food which could rot, don't get bitten at all. But what makes this game more difficult is, well, living. You need to make sure that the zombies can't kill you, and they are feisty little fellas. And at the beginning, well, you are quite weak, and you need to train a lot of actually to be even decent at surviving. Not to mention, there's also ability points where you can get more benefits, but you have to also have more flaws to get more ability points, which makes sense because you want to balance the players. There is a problem with this game, and you have to hear me out. There is no safety in this game. To simplify a lot, you have two things for our body to work in survival: fight or flight, and breed and digest. Yes, this is zombie apocalypse. So you are in a very high tense and you're always in fighting or flighting from this absurd situation. But you can't always been fighting or flighting situation, your body just doesn't work like that. You need a breathing room. And the problem with this game is there's really no breathing room. Like, imagine you're just at a house, just trying to relax from what you escaped from, tending your wounds, trying to collect some resources, and after you do all that, you feel like maybe you can do something to relax. Maybe you can read a skill book or two. Maybe you can exercise so that you can be better at carrying weights or better stamina. Maybe you can... Oh, never mind! Zombie broke into your house and now you need to run faster than you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. It might still be because I am still new to this game, but having a way to fortitude early in the game would be nice. Loud noises does trigger zombies to hear us, so maybe having a device like a loudspeaker or something that you can throw and run away to opposite direction or something, I don't know. It might also be a thing since we are in an urban place where there's just too many zombies compared to like remote places. Duh. But I'm just running my mouth at this point. Because it's just very frustrating to just run and run and run without any like traps or anything you can throw at zombies, because the more you run, the more debuffs you get. The fatigue, the overweight bearing, the broken bones somehow. It's just annoying. Or dying after you finally trained your guy to be decent because a zombie bit you when you were sleeping and not your two other party members who were also sleeping in the same house. Yes, this actually happened to one of my friends. I think two of them were also sleeping in the same bed on the second floor. I might be absolutely wrong here, and for all I know, people are just passing on me so because they actually want this difficulty. But if you're listening, Dev, if you're actually listening by some chance, just take this. Give us some time to breathe, some space to breathe, at least early in the game. Because we need to feel like we are progressing the game, at the very least. Alright, one more before we talk about the main one. This one is actually an interesting case too. Truth be told, I wasn't really keen of this franchise. Something about it when I was watching it didn't click with me. But then the same friend gifted the game and played co-op with me, so... yeah, I'm starting to think they really like zombie games. Nonetheless, I tried the game and yeah, I see the charm behind it. The game is fun. You can mix weapons to make better weapons. You can click photos for EXPs, get better stats because of it, yada yada yada. Escorting people to safety is probably the best way to grind for money and EXPs at the same time. And it is very advised to do so because they give a lot. Like a lot. What I really like about the game is some of the mini bosses. You can tell some, let's be honest here, all went psycho when the outbreak happened. Or most likely before the outbreak even happened. And, well, fighting them can be challenging. There's also the whole stupidity when it comes to co-op stuff, and trying things like new clothes and stunts is pretty cool, unique, and just awesome. The problem with this game, and unfortunately it is the main core of this game, time. See, you don't progress the game. The time does. What I mean by that is each missions are based around certain time. 8 AM, then 11 AM, then 5 PM, etc, etc. Between that time, it is advised you actually grind EXP, money, medicines to get better stats, more money, and to make sure that you don't get zombified. But then you get into situations where you just want to progress to the next chapter of the story, but you can't because you have 4 hours in-game time left to do so, so you're just running around doing anything really. Not to mention the opposite is also true. You are trying to do some side quests, but then there's a miss and you just have to do it now or you may get a bad ending in the main story. I get it. It is supposed to be a time management thing if you want to 100% the game. You need to be efficient. But to 100% the game, you need to play New Game Plus. For those who don't know, New Game Plus is basically playing the game all over again, but you're keeping all your EXP, your items, your money, everything from the old save file. Because, well, you won't be able to finish the game in the first playthrough because of your, well, beginner's stat. And as you can guess, even in New Game Plus, you still have to wait for time to progress the story. Hi, Maxim from the future here. I forgot to also mention that Dead Rising 2 also has the problem of, sexualizing characters and having sexy swords and all that jazz, but it's old Capcom games. By this point, it should be obvious, but I just need to let you guys know because, yeah, there is things like that for... Continue. Yeah, my friend and I tried to do the New Game Plus and we just stopped because it was just not worth it. It's so annoying just to wait and just hope to progress after time, and it was just boring at that point. If I was gonna recommend the game, I would recommend to at least finish it, but do not complete it, because if you try to complete it, it just takes forever, and then there's multiple endings, and it's just not worth your time. Just not. Alright, quick lightning round before we start. There is none. Yeah, surprisingly, we talked about all the zombie games I wanted to talk about. But one. And let's talk about the final one, which is a potential to be Game of the Year. And before you ask, yes, my friend completed the game 100%, and yes, they think that it might be their Game of the Year. I mean, there's a reason why people are saying it is a Game of the Year. Game looks polished compared to the original, the story is decent, and well, it is fun. Compared to 5 and especially 6, Resident Evil 4 is a better game for me. Despite being a solo adventure compared to co-ops, the easiest way to say is it fixes a lot of things I had problem with the 2 other games. The game actually looks clean and nice to look at, despite it being in a rural Spain village. Like I mentioned, the story is actually pretty good, this not being the original story of the Resident Evil 4, which is probably a good thing because I have heard that Leon was more racist and sexist. And well, at the very least, the layout of the map actually somewhat makes sense. Somewhat. There's the whole thing of being in a village and then going to a castle, then mining, then research. You know what? At this point, it's Resident Evil is probably the best answer here. I also do like the whole suitcase inventory option the game implemented. I'd rather prefer not having it, but as a survival game, it works. It's not too daunting that I felt it's a necessary thing to add, but it also wasn't too overloaded that I ran out of space for no good reason. Actually, I think I never ran out of space, truthfully speaking. Adding new weapons with lack of space was the most annoying part of the whole game, but other than that, I had no issue. This game has their flaws though. Like, sometimes the game just refuses to give me ammo outright, and I would have multiple guns that are just empty. This happens more than I would like it to be, especially since the game just likes to place random ammos everywhere. Oh look! A bread!
Seriously?
There's also the whole backtracking, which is a personal thing, but I just don't like going all the way back just to get something for the sake of completionist, or abilities, or money, or whatever. And the mini game.
If you know, you know.
But the game is fun, and I can see why people think it's their game of the year. Personally speaking, I wouldn't award it as my game of the year, but I still had a grand time playing the game and seeing things unfold. Just make sure Ashley is not in front of you.
Leon!
I'm not paying for her medical bills. And I think that's all the zombie games I want to talk about this year. If you want me to talk about more, or you want me to finish all the Resident Evil franchise, or do you have any horror theme you want me to try next year, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, not again. Alright, where's my broken gun? Alright, like, comment and subscribe, and pray I don't become a zombie, because I'm gonna have to kill a lot more now. Get out of my house!